This video is a direct sequel to my last video titled Watchtower Bible and Tract Society is Disgusting and Promotes CSA. So my subscribers had made a lot of comments on my last video, and there's 5 important points that I completely missed. And I thank my subscribers for pointing these things out to me. So I felt it was necessary to make a part 2 to the last video and start off at point number 12 on 5 more very important details that I had missed during my last video. So first, I'm going to just show you directly from the actual physical books in front of me, which I always like to do. That way, nobody can say that it's something photoshopped or made up online. So I'm going to show you what I can see in my physical books, but then I'm going to go and share my computer screen to really break down a lot more detail that's easier to see once I go to my computer screen. So let me first show you what my subscribers had pointed out. So for those who have not seen my last video, you probably want to watch that because we're going to pick up at point number 12. So point number 12 is one of my subscribers had mentioned the fact that the girl's belly is exposed. It's hanging out. And I completely missed this the first time. Now I'm going to break that down a little bit later on how a lot of us probably missed this point. But you can clearly see that her belly is exposed. And you can see they put her in a pink shirt to hide it. Where if she was wearing maybe a dark purple shirt, you would clearly see that the belly is exposed, but because they used a pink color that matches with her skin complexion, that's exactly how these subliminal messages work. But as you can clearly see, her belly is definitely sticking out. Now, does that mean that she's pregnant by this guy? Or is it just the fact of it's a little bit provocative and sexual that her stomach is hanging out like that? So and that's point number 12. So point number 13 is another subscriber had mentioned that when a woman has a bow tie on her clothes, it's actually called a pussy tie. So that's quite interesting that it's put right on her private part. So we're going to investigate that a little bit later on. Is that really called a pussy tie? And if so, how often is a pussy tie worn on a woman's private? So point number 14 is the same subscriber that mentioned that her belly was sticking out, also mentioned that it appears that she's singing a different note than everyone else. And I'll show you what my subscriber meant by that. If we go to the front of the book, you'll notice that everyone appears to be singing the ah note, A-H, right? Ah. I'm obviously not a singer, so I'm not going to sing the note, but you know what I mean, right? They're all singing ah, is what it appears to be. They're all singing on that same note. And then if we go to the angels and the inside cover, they apparently are also singing the ah note. Ah. Then if you go to the back cover, they seem to be singing ah. A-H, right? Ah, except her. She's apparently looks like she's singing the O note. Even the pervert is looks like he's singing ah with everybody else, but she's singing O. Why does it appear she's singing a different note? Is that meant to be sexual? Because usually O is usually how that's worded when a woman is making sexual noises of pleasure, right? It's always usually written as oh, oh. I'm not going to try to do it myself, but you know what I mean. So why is she singing oh while everyone else is singing ah? Is that another sexual subliminal message that she's singing the O while everyone else is singing ah? So we're going to investigate that a little bit later. And then the next point, which is going to be point number 15, one of my subscribers had mentioned that there's a subliminal S on the boy's sleeve, right? So you can see that shaped like an S. Now, is that just a coincidence that his sleeve is shaped like what could be an S? Or is that a subliminal message? It's interesting that the S is directly next to his lips, right? Is he saying sex? I don't know. But we're going to investigate that a little bit later. And then the last point, which is going to be point number 16, is very interesting. So one of my subscribers had mentioned, why is the Black Guy Songbook the only book that is facing us open? Everyone else's songbook, the back is facing us, so we can't see the inside. Right? So notice when I turn it over, you see everyone's songbook, the back of the songbook is the only thing we can see. We can't see the inside. Everyone's songbook is pointed backwards, where we can only see the back. And you can see on the back of the book, same thing, right? Everyone's songbook is facing that way, except his. Why is his songbook facing us open with a blank page? Now, I don't know what that means, but clearly you can see there's too many coincidences involving this guy with the penis to not question why is his book facing us blank. That must mean something. And when Watchtower tried to get rid of the evidence and replace the black guy with the white guy, they left his songbook blank facing us also. So there must be something significant with why that book is facing us open, even to the point where they made sure that the white guy still had it. And one more thing I forgot to mention, going back to the letter S, is notice this letter S on the boy's sleeve that could be subliminal for sex, maybe. Watchtower made sure to get rid of that evidence too. Right? Clearly, whatever that was going on with the S on the boy's sleeve, they covered it over. And that's significant because everything on this book is identical, right? The only thing that they took out was the guy with the penis. And even when they added this white guy here instead, they kind of made him look similar, even the book being blank and facing us. But they made it a point to get rid of what might be a subliminal S. And one more thing that I want to mention is that in the last video, I had brought out how when they added the white guy to replace this guy with the penis, they added a sleeve, making it clear that they know what they were covering up. Right? See, this is the subliminal penis right there. And when they want to get rid of this image and replace him with the white guy, by adding the sleeve, it shows that they know what they're covering up. Now, the reason that's significant, and I'm bringing this out again, is Watchtower decided to change this image a third time. Now they actually got rid of the sleeve. Now, the sleeve is important because it shows that they know what they were covering up. And when I say Watchtower updated this image again, I don't mean in a physical book because they don't print this book anymore. But if you find this image on their jw.org website, you'll see they changed it again and got rid of the sleeve because the sleeve is obviously very incriminating that they know what they're covering up. So I just want to mention that I have the physical book in front of me. And yes, there is a sleeve there. And I'm going to show you later how they try to cover it up. So now you can see what we're going to discuss in this video. I have the physical book in front of me, right? It's not something that so-called apostates created online using Photoshop. I have the physical book in front of me. And one more thing I want to mention is I just want to show the dates of both of these books. So the one in question, it just has a date of 2009. Wait, where is it again? Yeah. Okay, 2009, right? So the one where they got rid of the evidence and put the white guy, this one says 2009. Let me focus again. It says 2009, but then it says 2010 printing, right? So it's kind of tricky that they have two dates. So maybe it's 2010 when they got rid of the evidence. I'm not sure. But the other one only says 2009 and this one says 2010. So that might be significant to something. So now I'm going to show you those same points online where I can break it down even further to show you how sick the Watchtower actually is. So you can clearly see that her belly is indeed exposed. And you can see how tricky this photo is because they purposely put her in a shirt color that blends in with the complexion of her skin so you don't notice it. And this is why I didn't notice it when I did the first video. So again, if she was in a darker color, you would notice the belly obviously hanging out. But you can see it clearly is hanging out. Now, anyone that's been a Jehovah's Witness or still is a Jehovah's Witness knows that it is completely inappropriate for any woman to have her belly hanging out, especially for a 10-year-old. So what is the message here? Again, is it just sexual that her belly is hanging out like in a sexual way? Or is it indicating that this guy already violated her and that she's pregnant? Either way, you can clearly see it is completely inappropriate that her belly is hanging out. And this is the way subliminal messages work, that they purposely put the shirt that matches the skin complexion so you don't notice it. And if my subscriber didn't point this out to me, it went over my head because I didn't notice it. So that is point number 12, that clearly that's another thing sick with Watchtower is they put her belly hanging out. Now here's number 13. a bow tie on a woman is called a pussy bow. So one of my subscribers had mentioned that a bow tie on a woman is considered a pussy bow. So I brought this point out in my last video, just the fact that they put a bow on her private part, and that was unusual and strange. And I was wondering what the hidden meaning of that was. So is this really called a pussy bow? So I decided to look it up after I got the tip from my subscriber, and it's legit. It could either be called a pussy cat bowl or a pussy bowl, but it's a style of neckwear worn on women, and it's usually their shirt, right? So it's not, apparently it's not supposed to be on their private part, but they usually wear it on their shirt. So I was trying to confirm how normal would it be for a woman to put a pussy bowl on her private part. So I went to Google and I just typed in pussy bowl and images to see what came up. So on Google, every single image that comes up, it shows a bow tie on their shirt or blouse. And this is Google. Like, you would think that if it was common for a woman to wear a pussy bowl on her private, that some of these pictures would have it on their private, but I don't see anything like that. So then I decided, well, let me search pussy bowl skirt, right? That maybe then I'll see this thing on a woman's private part if I typed in pussy bowl on skirt. And again, it's the same thing. Everything is showing that is basically worn on a woman's shirt, not her private part. Now, if you notice the second image, there is one where it's showing the pussy bowl on the skirt, but as you can see, that's like a very provocative look. And even that is not directly on her private part. But that's obviously not something a 10-year-old should be wearing. But again, even when I typed in pussy bowl on skirt, nothing is really showing up that shows it directly on her private. So why did the Watchtower put something that's called a pussy bowl exactly on this 10-year-old's private part? And you know the slang word for that in a dirty, sick way, what they call that. So clearly, this is another sick, disgusting thing that Watchtower subliminally put in this photo. The fact that it's called a pussy bowl and they put it right on her private part. Now, point number 14, she's the only one singing a different note. So you can see I basically took photos, or I cropped everyone's face on a songbook. This picture couldn't fit everyone's face on it, but I basically blown up every face on the front of the songbook, the inside of the songbook, and the back of the songbook. When you look at these images next to the girl's face, you can see that they are singing the ah note, not an o note. And I don't want to take credit for this. I know nothing about singing. And my subscriber who brought this point out and the point about the belly, this is an amazing catch. I don't know how she caught this point. It was Janice Morton, I believe the name was. And she wrote a comment saying how it looks like they're all singing the ah note, except she's singing an o note. So why is she clearly singing a different note than everybody else? And as I mentioned before, the O, it could be subliminal for sexual pleasure sounds. That's the only thing I can come up with that they're secretly putting in this image. So then I also compared her face to the inside of the songbook with the angels. And it also seems too that the angels are also singing the ah note as she's singing oh. Now, this is something extra that I found. When I was blowing up the pictures on a songbook, these faces look like demons to me, right? And this is not something I've seen previously online or anything like that. I didn't hold a mirror up to anything. All I was doing was blowing up the faces on the songbook. And when I looked at these ones, I don't know, they look like demons. Now, let me know in the comments, am I just seeing things or do these look like demons? And the one right here that's white, that's from the inside of the songbook with the angels. And the rest of these are on the front of the songbook near the right corner. Right. But I don't know, like they look like demons to me. And this one right here, the second one in the second row, almost looks like Medusa. Like there's like these snake things coming off the face. So I don't know what that's about. Let me know if I'm seeing things or if you see what I've seen. But maybe this is material for another video, but I just came across that by accident. So I'm going to play this quick video of the singing instructor and just notice how she pronounces the word or the singing vowel ah, and just pay attention to her face.
About 3 common vowel distortions that are heard with this particular vowel, with the ah vowel. The first of which is airiness. So when we hear that airiness in the tone, it's that ah.
All right, so you see her face as she's singing the ah note. Now I'm going to play a video of her singing the O note, and you can see by her face what the difference actually is.
So what we want to do is we want to ensure that we're pronouncing that O and sustaining that with a degree of constancy in terms of the definition, how we form that vowel with our articulators, with our tongues, our jaws, and our lips. So we want to keep that O, O. We're not going to move into the W posture because otherwise it starts to sound a little wooish. It starts to sound like we're singing a W. O, O.
So you see, O is completely different from ah. So now we can break this down even further, and you can see the difference on the facial expression when a person is singing the ah note versus the O note. Right? You can clearly see it. This is a singing instructor who really knows what they're talking about. So now we can really ask the question, out of 35 people on the songbook, why are 34 of them all singing the ah note, which would be consistent if they're all singing the same song? But the little girl is the only one singing O, which conveniently is the same word that's used for a woman making sexual pleasure sounds as O. And I want to thank again my subscriber for catching this because I never would have caught this point, but clearly this is big. They subliminally went out of their way to give the little girl the O note, indicating something subliminal. So now we're on point number 15. There's a subliminal S hidden in the boy's sleeve. Now, when one of my subscribers first made this comment about this, I was skeptical because I could see clearly, okay, it's shaped like an S, but you know, that could just be us making an S in our brain, right? Like it could just be a coincidence, right? I'm not saying that everything that looks weird is definitely something. So I was a little skeptical of that S at first. But then as you can see that the Watchtower went out of his way to get rid of that along with the black guy and the penis. So it must be something that they went out of their way to cover that up. But another thing I thought about this whole S thing hidden in a boy's sleeve is when you look at it, and I know this from being a brother in the congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses, and you always have to wear dress shirts, always. So it's hidden in the boy's sleeve in his dress shirt, but why is his dress shirt flowing the way that it looks like it's flowing? Now, for example, if you could see my arm, I wanted to wear a dress shirt when making this video just to make this point. So what it looks like is if you can see my arm, I unbutton the sleeve, right? So when the sleeve is unbuttoned, it can fly around like this. Now, the only reason that these shirts you would ever unbutton is if you want to roll the sleeve up, right? So say if it's really hot outside and you're going to roll the sleeve up. But when you're at the Kingdom Hall singing, you don't leave the sleeve like this where it can just fly around like this. That is not normal. In fact, any brother that walked into the Kingdom Hall and had a sleeve that was unbuttoned like this would be counseled and would be put aside and say, you got to button that up. So no brother ever has a sleeve like this flowing around. Now, if you look at my other arm, it's supposed to be buttoned up, period. It doesn't stay like this. So when you look at the boy's sleeve, how the S is hidden, it's hidden by the fact that it is unbuttoned. So this proves that it is indeed something subliminal they're adding in there, because in order for them to subliminally put that S the way it looks like that, they had to make the sleeve as it's unbuttoned. But any of us that have been in the Kingdom Hall know that nobody walks around and ever has their sleeve unbuttoned. You'd be counseled for that. So, and the fact that you can see on the right that Watchtower also got rid of that evidence too. So clearly, that is a subliminal something. Now, is it a letter S? That's what it looks like to me. It's a subliminal S. Now, of course, some who are not familiar with subliminal messages, you could look at that and say it's not an S. It's just kind of shaped like that, but it's not an actual letter. Well, let's play a little game. So I'm going to show you two images, and I want to see who can actually see the subliminal writing in these two images. And this will give you a better idea about how subliminal letters work. So you can see there is no actual letters in this photo. But are there subliminal letters that are subliminally put in there? Now, can anyone see it? Well, now I'm going to show you where the subliminal letters actually are. So you see the S and the E and the X. So you see the S is not a literal S, it's subliminally made. The plants are made in a way to make an S shape to spell out the word sex. Now here's one more. Now that you know what you're looking for, let's see if you can find the subliminal word in this photograph. Can you see it? Same word, sex. So you see how subliminal these things are? So when people put subliminal letters and images, they're very well hidden. They're not meant to be actual letters. It's very, very subliminal. It's meant to hit your subconscious. And the word sex seems to be one that a lot of people put that word in images to keep people's mind on sex. So now that we can kind of see how these subliminal messages work with letters, clearly, I believe that that is definitely a subliminal S. And is it a coincidence that the S is directly on this guy with the penis, his lips, basically? Look how close that is to his mouth. Is he saying the word sex? So what I would bet is that somewhere in this image, there's probably an E and an X somewhere. Now, one of my subscribers had said that the E is in the boy's hand. And that could be the E because if you notice, out of the four fingers that are showing on the boy, it looks like his pinky finger is behind the songbook, only his pinky finger making his other three fingers possibly an E. Now, I don't want to conclusively say that that is an E because I don't see the X. And a couple people in the comment section said they do see the X, but honestly, I can't see the X. I'm not saying it's not there because it probably is there. And if there's an X, then I would say the boy's hand is the E, but clearly that's subliminal S. And this can spell out the whole picture because it's like, okay, the S is right on the black guy's lips, basically. Is he saying the word sex? And the bow that's called a pussy bow is on her private part. And is she pregnant because she had sex? You see, maybe that's the subliminal message in this photo. Now, some people in the comments had actually said that they see a subliminal face of a baby in the bow tie. Now, if there is a subliminal face of a baby in the bow tie, then that does spell out the whole picture, right? S for sex, and her belly's big because she's pregnant, and that would make sense if there's a baby's face somewhere in there. But I honestly don't see it. I looked for hours at this photo, and I don't see a baby's face. I'm not saying it's not there, but I just don't see it. You know, if someone else can if somebody else sees it, please make an actual video where you can point it out like I'm pointing things out. But I don't see a baby's face. But what I do see is definitely the word or the letter S. That is definitely a subliminal S. So probably there's an E and X in a photo somewhere. And then again, you can see that when Watchtower got rid of the guy with the penis and replaced him with the white guy, they got rid of the S. So clearly, again, they're writing on themselves. So the S is something subliminal, and that's why they got rid of it when they replaced the black guy with the white guy. Now, point number 16, the black guy's songbook is the only one that the inside is facing us. So this is the strangest one out of all of them, but I added this to the points because clearly there's something significant with this. You can clearly see that everybody's songbook, out of 35 people, they're all facing the back of the songbook is facing us. Like they went out of their way to make sure that every songbook is the back of it is facing us. And if you look at the very top photo, which is the front of the songbook, you can go even, if you see where my mouse is at, you can go even way up there where the people are starting to fade away. And even all their songbooks, the back is facing us. And if you want to get a better look at those demon faces, that's where the demon faces came from, in the back. And then there's one demon face where the angels are on the inside of the songbook. If those are demons, I don't know. It just, they look like demons. But you can see a lot of work went into this to make sure that everyone's songbook, the back is facing us except the black guy. So what does that mean? It's something subliminal. Why is his book the only book that's facing us and it's blank inside? Is that subliminally just so our subconscious zones in on the black guy and we start to put these images subliminally like in our subconscious without us realizing it? Is it just drawing attention to him? Does the blank songbook indicate that he's obviously not singing, but he's a pervert and he's not singing at all? He's staring directly at the 10-year-old. Is that what the blank page is signifying? I mean, I have no idea, but this is something weird that Watchtower is doing. So if you have any idea on what subliminal message they're trying to let us know with only his book being facing us and it being blank, please let me know. And you can see when they added the white guy in, they left the songbook the same. So what does that mean? It means something. So this is the point from my last video. So I'm going to go back to point number 10, how I mentioned that they added a sleeve to the white guy. So you can clearly see that when they wanted to get rid of the penis and they put the white guy in this place, they try to make the white guy look just like the black guy. So even his fingers look a little weird. And they try to just really like put him in to kind of phase the black guy out, probably thinking maybe nobody's going to notice. Like, you know, like, so they made the white guy very similar. And again, they even gave him the same blank book, but you can clearly see that they added the sleeve. And the sleeve shows that it is a hand now, and the sleeve shows where the hand starts. And clearly, when you look at the black guy, you can see it's subliminally meant to look like a penis. So when they went out of their way to add the sleeve, it shows that they're guilty, that they know exactly what they're trying to cover up, which was the penis. So if a Jehovah's Witness were to look online to try to verify any of this stuff, if they can't get their hands on a physical book. So when I looked up Sing the Jehovah Songbook, if you notice on the right-hand sign where my mouse is at, this image comes up and it's pretty clear because it's got the front of the songbook and the back of the songbook, and it's got it reversed for some reason. I mean, on the right here, this is the front of the songbook, and that's the back of the songbook, but it's like, who knows why they reversed it, but that's a pretty clear image. But you notice it's from jw.org. And it even says image may be subject to copyright. So this is their official image. This is jw.org stock footage of this image. So naturally, Jehovah's Witness that's brainwashed, they're going to trust this photo more than anything that's right on their website. So if you click on that image, it's going to bring you directly to jw.org. And you're going to see that they still have this image on their website. Now, they're using this not because of the songbook, but they're using this image when they're talking about different languages. But you can see that on their stock photo of the image that they created, they cropped the bottom out, getting rid of the sleeve. So if a Jehovah's Witness now wants to download this picture directly from the official website, you're going to see they got rid of the sleeve. So this is how you can see you cannot trust this organization, right? This is their official photo. It's understandable if another company has the photo and they crop it and do something different with it. But if you're going to go on jw.org, you would expect that they have the official photo, like the original, not something cropped out. So as you can see, they now got rid of the sleeve. And I believe they must have got rid of the sleeve because of like what I said. By adding that sleeve, it shows that they knew they were covering up a penis. It shows great detail that they added a sleeve and making it a hand. And it shows they're guilty. So now it's like they're backtracking again. So now they get rid of the sleeve altogether. So if a Jehovah's Witness were to find this image on their official website, what they're seeing is an altered photo from jw.org themselves, from their own picture. Right? So this is why you really cannot trust this organization. But as you can see, I have the physical books in front of me. So regardless of what JW wants to change online, I have the physical book in front of me, both of them. And yes, there is a sleeve there, period. So as you can see, with all these things wrong with this photo, there's no way that this is a coincidence. And again, those of you who have not seen part 1 to this video, I cover all these other points in detail that I didn't mention, the first 11 points. But clearly, I mean, evidence is right in front of your face, right? And that's why they got rid of it. That's why they replaced the guy with the penis with the white guy. And you got all these other sick things going on. So, what the hell was wrong with this organization? What are they doing? And one thing that I mentioned at the end of my last video, and I'm going to elaborate on it a little bit further, is I was saying that Jehovah's Witnesses that continue to turn a blind eye to this are guilty and being part of CSA abuse. Now, this is why I say that, because when I was a Jehovah's Witness, and this is what they still teach, they convinced Jehovah's Witnesses that being a snitch is what Jehovah wants, right? So everyone is snitchers. Everybody rats each other out. So if you're a Jehovah's Witness and maybe you see a Jehovah's Witness woman holding hands with the guy that's not a Jehovah's Witness, or you know of somebody committed adultery or anything like that, even say if you know of a witness that was smoking weed or something, what Jehovah's Witnesses teach is that if you don't rat that other witness out, then you're guilty of the sin with them, right? So even if it's none of your business, right? Even if it's another Jehovah's Witness who you don't even talk to, and you happen to see that they're doing drugs or committing adultery or something, or just fornication, that's what they teach, that Jehovah holds you guilty with the other person's sin because you've seen it and you didn't report it. So now Jehovah holds you guilty. You're just as bad as the sinner. That's what they teach. And this is why Jehovah's Witnesses always rat each other out. So with that same principle, right, if you're a Jehovah's Witness watching this, by that same principle, if you think that God holds you accountable because you know of someone that committed a sin and you kept your mouth shut, and keeping your mouth shut means God is holding you as just as guilty as the sinner, then when you see this CSA stuff hidden in these images, if you have that old songbook with the black guy on it, or if you have the songbook with the white guy and you can see that they replaced them, if you know that this stuff is true, but you keep defending the governing body, like so obsessed with these men that you'll do anything because of these men, you're so obsessed with the governing body, right? So obsessed to the point where if you can see what I'm showing you and you still defend these people and don't say anything and just keep on going to the Kingdom Hall and keep on preaching to people, God would hold you guilty too, right? The same principle you guys believe in, because you could see the CSA stuff and you witnesses who have that old songbook, you know what the old songbook had if you still have that songbook. So how can you keep your mouth shut and not report this to the proper authorities? Because of what? Because you're obsessed with these men, the government, but you're so obsessed with these men that you're going to allow this organization to put sexual child abuse subliminal images, a minor with her nipples sticking out and her belly sticking out, and this guy with a penis and her singing oh oh, everyone else is singing ah, like you can see this sick stuff and you're gonna just still, oh, this is the truth, these are Jehovah's anointed people, you're not going to report this? I can guarantee you the real God, whether you believe his name is Jehovah or Jesus or whatever you believe, God's going to hold you accountable, right? That you would be okay with sexual child abuse because you're obsessed with defending these men. You're so obsessed with defending these men that you could see this, but no, you're not going to report it, right? And who would you report this to? Or this is who it should be reported to. All these cases with sexual child abuse going on. There's one in Pennsylvania still going on. That's who you can report this stuff to. When you know that there's these cases going on, you should send this to those people. That's who you can report it to and say, hey, I'm a Jehovah's Witness. And yes, there's subliminal CSA stuff that's subliminally put in our literature. That's who you should report it to. But if you continue to be so obsessed with the governing body that you're going to just keep letting this, like, you're going to just ignore it and say, oh, no, this is the truth. This is the truth. You're guilty, right? You're guilty by your own doctrine of why you write each other out, right? Because if you see something and you keep your mouth shut, you're guilty, right? So you got to ask yourself, are you so obsessed with the governing body and defending these men to the point where you don't even care that they're putting these sick images in the literature and there's CSA stuff going on in the organization, but you're so obsessed with these men that you don't really care about that. You'll ignore this photo because you're obsessed with these men, right? So I don't know. And by the way, again, in the middle of this picture, that's just for me looking at the songbook and blowing up everybody's face. So I don't know. Are these demons or what the hell is going on? Please let me know in the comments if I'm seeing things or not.